Okay, I'm talking about the Ivy League. Now I've encountered these graduates, okay, of Harvard, Yale, University of Pennsylvania, and Princeton. I encounter them in the media, okay, and people in their 30s now, some of them, okay, their minds are like Jell-O. They know nothing. They've not been trained in history, okay. They have absolutely no structure to their minds. Their emotions are unfixed, okay. So it's in the banality of contemporary cultural criticism, okay, of academe, okay, the absolute collapse, okay, of any kind of intellectual discourse in the U.S. is the result of these colleges, okay, which should have been the best, okay, and have produced the finest minds, instead of having retracted into caretaking. The whole thing is about approved social positions and in a kind of misty love of humanity, okay, without any direct knowledge, okay, of history or economics or anthropology. I can feel, okay, the vacuum, okay,
right,
in the nothingness, okay, of American cultural criticism at the present time. It is impossible.
And
any journalist of today, an American journalist, you cannot have any kind of a deep discussion of ideas.
Is that just a kind of hyper-exaggeration of the American disease, which is that we've never, and I mean this goes back to early American literary criticism, that we're people who come from nowhere and we don't care about the past. We're freed from the burdens of the past, but we don't care about the past.
Yes. I think this is true. The past is always present, okay, in Europe. To the extent that you're in Berlin, you can see the bullet marks still on the buildings from World War II, and so on. It's a terrible burden, okay, to have that there. Okay, I think Americans are far more ingenious and open and daring. Okay, on the other hand, the nature of our politics too, the way we keep on having this like the two big parties with their big tent and their internal gradations, of affiliation, whereas people abroad, okay, have a much more sophisticated idea about a person's specific intellectual and political positions. They can identify, because they'll have 13 parties, conflicting in Parliament and so on. It'll be interesting to see whether the young people, okay, have the kind of old style sense of identification with Democrat or Republican. I have the sense, it's not entirely a comfortable sense, okay, that that my students have slowly morphed away from even paying attention to politics over the past, let's say, 15 years, and it's worried me because the crises around the world are actually intensifying, and how are they going to cope as a generation? Well, I'm just concerned if you're not interested at all in the news or in political sparring and in maneuverings and so on, then how can you possibly have any influence on the future? I'm worried that we're heading toward a kind of Big Brother empire, okay, where you have people, the sort of career politicians at the top in league with the puppet masters of the media, okay, the ability to manage the news, the complete drop of journalistic standards now that the newspapers are like vanishing. I mean, no young person reads a newspaper, okay, that's on the way out. So without staff, of investigative reporters, how are you ever going to be able to get in-depth stories that might take a year to research? So we're in a period now of instant news, and the people who are reporting the news and writing the news don't even bother to say, they'll just report what a government official says as if it's the truth. You don't even have a discllaimer like such and such official claimed. Okay, you just have total from the media is acting as a total mouthpiece. Okay, and that bothered me during the run up to the Iraq War. I was like the only person who spoke out in Salon at length, okay, against the Iraq War. Everyone fell down on flat in front of what the government was saying. Okay? I'm constantly monitoring the main forum, of things. I try to start with something that's in the news, and I'm able to monitor how aware the students are, okay? And I'm telling you, over the last 15 years, step by step, okay, it's getting worse and worse and worse. I know if I were at Yale or at Harvard, I'm sure the pre-law students are constantly monitoring the news, and they would know exactly what I'm talking about. When Hillary and her Valkyrie warriors got us into Libya, I didn't notice anything. Okay, I was absolutely which I had in my Salon column. to condemn that, okay? Because here's the end result, okay? The total destabilization of Libya, okay? So there wasn't a please, there was nothing, okay? Everyone fell down flat in front of that
so
one,
like
too.
a sense of spectatura is important. What else goes into the perfect candidate?
He had been in the military. He had been in the Navy, okay? So the point is that's another thing that's a problem now, okay, with contemporary politics, is that in America, the whole generation of men that had experience in the war, the realities of war, and had been abroad, had experienced the horrors and so on, it's going. And so we have all these guys who are products of Ivy League schools, and this Harvard and Yale concentration of stuff. This is not good, okay? Whereas in England, there's a tradition, of course, of the upper class, including the royal family, going into uniform, okay? So there's a sense of commitment, okay? The ruling class has a sense about war, okay, and military history and of sacrifice and so on. Now we have an entire country. The governing class has we're not going to have this professional army, and so so that the sufferings and the losses, okay, are being stuck onto others. And this is very dangerous to me, okay, because war is your encounter with historical reality and with elemental realities of life and death. Okay, so that to me is the explanation of the problem also with the left. Okay, is that that because of this transformation, this slow change into this middle class culture that we inhabit now, the shrinking of the industrial base, okay, the migration of factories overseas. What is meant is that leftism has become totally armchair rhetoric, okay, with no direct contact with real working class people. Okay, now that
is it a bad thing if we don't have working class people?
I think that it gives me, okay, there's a sense of grounding because
but you didn't
my
work
family,
in a factory,
my grandparents' generation, all four grandparents were born in Italy. Okay, in the countryside, they were farmers.
Yes.
Okay, all right. My mother was born there too. Okay, they came over here. One grandfather worked in the shoe factory. Okay, and I was like living in their home.
Hey, but
the
you're
was a barber.
free riding. You're free riding on. My father was. I mean, all of our parents were. Factory workers.
This is the difference. Okay. To me, in the leftists, okay, that I know in academe, they don't have this experience. They have never had any direct experience of working class life. Most of them, almost overwhelming. But the leftists of the '60s did. Okay, their parents, okay, like mine, okay, they had experienced this social mobility. Okay, so all of a sudden, okay, I was born. My father was in college. Okay, so I lived in this factory town. This is my first home. Okay, my grandfather came back from the factory every day. The factories dominated. For Andy Warhol also, this very similar thing in Pittsburgh. Okay, and so on. And so you get this populist feeling. Okay, when you emerge from that, and then my father became a high school teacher, and eventually he became a college professor. It was long afterwards. I didn't have a television or a telephone until I was 12. Okay, so, for heaven's sakes, we didn't have any money. Okay, so the point is, this gives you reality, gives you a sense of practicality. I'm just one generation removed from the farmland. Okay, et cetera. Right, and this is what's missing. The middle class academic. Leftists, all these people, they know nothing actually, okay, but they have this distant sense of the working class, very condescending, okay, about work, and they are somehow empowered. They are destined to help, okay, from the point of view of an intrusion of state authority. Okay, this vast complex, this octopus of state authority that's going to help the poor people. Okay?
So does a similar dynamic work, or how does that work on the right? Or you're not that interested in it because you're coming out of a left?
I feel there has definitely been a kind of a fossilization, okay, of authentic analysis, a kind of jibing, joking, snide thing about Obama and so on. I mean, I hated that about Bush and I hated it about Obama. Okay, this thing about this is the president. Okay, he should be. I don't care what errors they make, and both of them made huge errors. The position of president should be treated with some dignity. This degradation, of prestige of our institutions is very bad. Okay, the cynicism, the snarkiness.
Right, and
you attack, you criticize, you don't demean. Okay, I don't do this. No, I mean, it fatigues me to read. Okay, and I love to read the commenters because I think it's a whole new genre now. And the jokes with Obama's name, Obama and this and that, and Obama or Romney as mittens. All this stuff coming from the Tea Party and so on. by the way, I respect the Tea Party. I don't demonize them. No, there's a way of just like snide way. Now I enjoy anti-Hillary, jibes. I think that's a whole art form itself.
Wait,
I collect those. I collect those.
What is it about? Is Hillary Clinton kind of your worst nightmare as a woman?
No, she's exactly my age.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel I know her completely. Okay,
right.
She has some Scranton background and so on. In fact, our accents are almost kind of the same and so on. I understand her completely. Okay, all right. So I see all the the games and the falsehoods and so on and so forth. So I've enjoyed. I've made an entire career practically out of it. In fact, I wrote the cover story for the New Republic was, what was it, Ice Queen, Drag Queen. That was 1996, I think. It was like way back there. And so
what is it about Hillary that bothers you?
She's a fraud. Okay.
Yeah. Explain, how is she a fraud?
It's like she can't have an opinion without poll testing it and so on. All right. She's a liar. Okay. She has. This is not a strong candidate for our first woman president. To me, Dianne Feinstein should have presented herself.
What, are you kidding?
No, I don't care what. I don't care what.
Okay.
I don't care what her views are. Okay, what I'm saying is, for the post of president, that's commander-in-chief,
right.
okay, of the military, it's got to be a woman, okay, who has a familiarity with military matters, okay, and also has gravitas.
Yeah,
right?
Talk a little bit about the.
Dianne Feinstein, I first became aware of her, okay, after those murders that occurred, okay, in City Hall. Okay?
She certainly never let you forget that she was there.
No, but I have never forgotten because it was one of the great moments. A woman took charge, okay, of an scene of absolute chaos, okay, in barbarous murder, okay, all right, and the whole government was like falling apart, and she came to the media and gave the news, okay, and was steady. And I said, that's it, okay, that's the formula, I said, for the first woman president.
It's my duty to make this announcement. Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
The suspect is Supervisor Dan White.
How do you communicate? How do you use the media to communicate? Okay, so it's up to for a woman must communicate. She's going to be a woman president.
Right.
She must communicate both strength, reserve, and yet compassion. Okay, what's that formula? And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for the formula. The only one who's had it in America, as far as I'm concerned, was Dianne Feinstein. Okay, all right, and she didn't put herself forward for whatever reason. Okay, as president, but Hillary does not have it. Okay,
no.
Hillary is a mess. Okay, and we're going to reward with the presidency a woman who has enabled the depredations and the exploitation of women. Okay, by that corn-pone husband first, and so on. I mean, it's like the way feminists have made themselves blind, okay, to Hillary's record, okay, of trashing. They were going to try to destroy Monica Lewinsky, and so on. I mean, it's a scandal. Anyone who believes in sexual harassment guidelines, okay, should have seen that the disparity of power between Clinton and Monica Lewinsky was one of the most grotesque ever, okay, in the history of sex crime. Okay, he's a sex criminal, okay, and so on. We're going to put that guy back in the White House. Okay, Hillary has ridden on his coattails. Yeah. This is not a woman who has her own career, made her own career. She's a woman who failed the bar exam in Washington. Okay, all right. She couldn't. The only reason she went to Arkansas, okay, and got a job in the Rose Law Firm was because her husband was,
All right.